For example, buying Russian products, you are funding the war. This logic, which cuts away all the in between steps, would apply to every country. And why separate out India when, if you add up, other countries are doing it? By the way, the United States as well. The United States buys things from Russia. I mean, it's silly.
What happens when America's trade war pushes India toward rival powers? India, the world's largest democracy, is punished by Washington's tariffs. Trump's 25% tariffs on Indian goods plus oil tariffs were justified. But instead of helping America, they push India closer to China. And even closer to Russia, exactly what U.S. strategists feared. So, do these tariffs make sense, or do they accelerate America's decline?
Not much. And I don't think it's more than a kind of veneer, a kind of substitute argument, because they can't articulate what is actually going on. You're quite right. There's supports for the Russian side. If they were responded to the way they are doing it with India, then they would have to logically go after everybody else who's doing trade with Russia around a whole host of issues, because the logic is the same. If you're doing trade with Russia, that means you are, for example, buying Russian products, you are funding the war. This logic, which cuts away all the in between steps, would apply to every country. And why separate out India when, if you add up, other countries are doing it? By the way, the United States as well. The United States buys things from Russia. I mean, it's silly. There is, however, a very powerful reason going on here, which we here in the United States have to confront because it affects us domestically. We live, and this is a growing awareness in this country, we live in a dying empire. We are very conscious that the death of the British Empire, about which you in India know more than anyone, has now been followed by the United States, which after all replaced Great Britain, and we are now having peaked in a period of decline. And the alter ego, if you like, our decline is mirrored in the rise of the BRICS. Mm-hmm. And this is a terrible challenge. Every effort is being made to make this look as though we're being attacked here in the United States. We're being abused by this development. It's as if Britain had attacked the United States for abusing it when its empire collapsed. And so we've tried in a variety of ways to block it, whether it is holding back technological exchanges with China around chips, whether it's, and I could give you a long list, mm-hmm. And it's a mixture of cajoling and threatening. And you right now are being threatened because the effort, well, here it might be important for you to remember about Mr. Navarro. Mr. Navarro is a very extreme character. He's made his career in the United States bashing China. That has been his major claim to fame. He's written books about it. China is the great threat. It's very easy for him to bring India into the same mentality. So now the Indians are abetting the Chinese and the Russians, and it's all a tremendous conspiracy. It's because alternative measures to break India away from the BRICS didn't work that they're trying this. And, you know, they discuss among themselves, if this doesn't work, then maybe they will have to sit down and work out with China, Russia, and India an alternative arrangement so we can all live together on this planet. That's the fallback position, but they don't want to discuss it because they're hoping that there will be forces inside India that will change Mr. Modi's mind and make him play the role of ally of the West against China and Russia rather than what he's doing this weekend. Well, you should I can't give you advice, but I can tell you that you should be aware that here in the United States, while there is not yet the organized, visible opposition, The opposition to Mr. Trump's way of running the world, or trying to, grows stronger each day. There are people horrified by what is going on, not just internationally, but domestically as well. You're splitting the United States. We have entire states that now don't communicate with one another out of a deep hostility. All of this is in a moment of flux. The Washington may look like it's in charge of everything, but it isn't. It is in a position that I would use the adjective desperate. This attack on Modi is part of the desperation. You'll see it in sending troops into downtown Washington, D.C., or threatening Chicago and New York, our major cities, with an influx of military to control a crime problem which the mayor and the chief of police in both those cities say doesn't exist. You're seeing contradictions inside the United States that I, with my white hair, and I've been born and lived in America all my life, I've never seen. So don't misunderstand this as a carefully tabulated, calculated, strategic move. This is desperation. You couldn't get India to do what you wanted one way. You're now going to try another. And that's all it is. And it will be dropped as quickly as it arose. That's the discussion we have here. On the agenda, we have either a downturn, a recession, and there are many indicators of that, or we have an inflation, and that's already begun, and there are indicators of that, or the worst of both worlds, stagflation. Many of our leading economists, not just Democrats as opposed to Republicans, but across the board, are saying as either or any of those three options I just laid out, as those unfold in the second half of this year, all bets are off on what will happen to the Trump regime. And that includes its foreign policy.
The Trump administration said tariffs were about fair trade principles and also about punishing India for its links with Russia. But if logic applied consistently, Europe and Japan face penalties too. Even the United States imports some products from Russian companies today. This inconsistency shows tariffs are about pressure, not true principle. Economically, tariffs raise consumer costs, hurt businesses, and fuel inflation. Economists across the spectrum warn these policies would ultimately backfire. Richard Wolff says this clearly: it's the behavior of decline. Instead of persuading India carefully, America risks pushing it away. Ironically, Prime Minister Modi meets Xi Jinping and Vladimir Putin. Compare India's choices with others. Japan and Europe yielded quietly. China retaliated with rare earths, forcing Washington to step back. India sits in the middle, too big to simply yield, and not yet openly retaliating, which gives India serious leverage. Washington fears this growing ambiguity, while Navarro attacks India harder. The result is short-sighted strategy, encouraging BRICS unity and growth. For Washington, it's nightmare fuel. For BRICS, it's huge opportunity. And for India, leverage grows with time now on its side.
I would turn around and use what you just said in a slightly different way. The closer India moves to China, the more the United States will understand it has to adjust to that move, just the way it did when Xi Jinping said, we're not playing this game. You hit us, we will hit you, and we can hurt you too. Stop it. When the United States heard that, it stopped it. As you pointed out, India has to learn. India is now one of the great powers of the world. You are the largest country by population. That's well known in the United States. You have surpassed China. The specter of China and Russia coming closer together, adding India, will be overwhelming to the American people. It may take some time, but time is now on your side. That's right. And the strengthening of BRICS produces the kind of extreme remarks that you get out of Navarro, calling it Modi's war. There's no need to do that. That is frustration speaking.
So here's the simple truth. Trump's tariffs lack real logic. They don't help America's economy. They damage global strategic interests. Instead of isolating India further, they push it into BRICS. As Professor Wolff explains, desperation drives these failing U.S. policies. Now let me ask you directly, what should India do next? Should India strengthen BRICS fully, aligning closer with China, Russia? Or should India balance carefully, playing both sides for gains? Comment your thoughts down below. I'd love to hear them. If this video helped explain, hit like and please subscribe. Turn on notifications for updates and never miss future analysis. Because this isn't about tariffs, it's about empires rising, falling. And right now, India stands directly at history's crossroads moment.